My roommate explaining a Hulk Hogan tweet.
Hello, my name's Paul, and I've written a lot of posts on wrestling on Reddit. So this tweet's from @Hulk Hogan, also known as Hulk Hogan, and it says, "Good night, Hulkamaniacs and jabroni marks without a life that don't know it. A work when you work a work and work yourself into a shoot, marks." So there's a lot to unpack here. Let's just start from the top. Hulk Hogan, probably the most influential wrestler of the second half of the 20th century, called his fans, he would call them Hulkamaniacs. So next word's jabroni, and a jabroni is, I think, an Italian word from the early 20th century that was repopularized by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in the late 90s. It kind of just means weak, ineffectual, loser, dork, you know? If you want to insult somebody, you call them a jabroni. So marks is the next word, and that's a term that comes from pro wrestling's carnival days. Back in the early days, pro wrestling would be part of the local circus act or the local carnival that would come through town. And so in carnival or carny culture, they'd have, you know how some carnival games are rigged from the start, much like wrestling. They'd see people that had a lot of money or were really easy to spend a lot of money. You know, somebody who spends like $30 trying to get the toy bear at the baseball and milk jugs challenge. It was one of those things. They'd put a chalk mark on his back so that everyone else running the other games could see that this guy was an easy target to swindle money out of. And so those people are referred to as marks. And so wrestling promoters for a long time would refer to their fans as marks because they were, people easily hoodwinked into thinking that pro wrestling was real. The interesting thing is that we've known pro wrestling was predetermined in newspapers since at least the 20s, and I believe even earlier than that. Most people who went to wrestling shows, even in 100 years ago, knew that the outcome was predetermined, but they still liked the show. And so here, though, when a wrestler calls a fans marks, it's a very derisive term, saying that you're all loser idiots, even jabronis who don't understand that professional wrestling is fixed, not legitimate. It's not a true athletic competition. It's fake. It's concocted. It's concocted athletics. It's not real. I mean, it's in reality, but it's not like any real doubt of what the outcome is going to be. It's fake, is what I'm saying. Jabroni mark. All right, so then the next part, without a life, that's obvious. So we get down to the next word, which is work. And so work is just slang for faking something. So when you work a match, it means you are putting on a predetermined or faked wrestling match. When you work an angle is jargon for, a reason for two people to want to fight. And when you work an angle, you're faking that reason. So maybe you, pretend that you're sleeping with his wife, and that could extend out, not just in the arena, but maybe you would have vignettes of you going out to her house. And back in the really old days, they'd probably try to work that angle even further by having his wife walk around with you in public. So it's all about working means faking something. And the noun of that, work, is the fakery itself. So a way non-wrestling lingo would be faking a fake. So when you work a work, it means you're faking a fake. The third variation of this is work yourself. And that means to fool yourself or fake yourself, make you see something that isn't there, or when you when you work in the fakeness so much that you becomes your reality, you're working yourself. And then so here this brings us to the last jargon word, which is shoot. And a shoot is the opposite of a work. It's when it becomes real. So, for example, a shoot match would mean a match that was either legitimate from the outset or was worked and then became legitimate. So the athletes were trying to actually hurt each other and win for themselves, or injure the other person. This is a lot more rare today, but has still happens sometimes. I know there's a fairly high profile case in Mexico, I think 2 years ago. So this shoots still do happen, but they're a lot more rare. So when you work yourself into a shoot, what you're saying is that you're buying into the fakeness so much that you then do carry out an action because you believe what was fake is real. And so what Hulk Hogan here is saying now in total is he's saying,
good night, my fans, and losers who think this is real with no lives, who don't know it's fake when you fake a fake, and fake yourself into, and buy into that fakery and carry out real actions. Losers.
beep, boop,
Rebooting, Paul. Should be good now. We're droid, so I don't know what your start noise is.
That's the Windows Start sound.
Oh, okay.
All right.